nucleus in the circular orbit. According to the concept, there will be only 2 atoms in the first orbit. There will be 4 or 8 atoms in the second orbit, like that. That we have to study in the last portion of this chapter. So here, in the case of nucleus consists of protons and neutrons. Nucleus consists of protons and neutrons. Protons are positively charged particles. Protons are positively charged particles. And these neutrons are neutrals. Neutrons are neutral. So here is a positively charged particle inside the nucleus, and there will be neutron also. And the neutron is of a neutral charge, therefore the total charge inside the nucleus is always positive, because this is positive and this is neutral. Therefore the whole charge is positive. And around the nucleus, as we know that the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in circular orbit, and the electrons are negatively charged particles. So inside the atom there will be 2 charges, positive charge and negative charges. Who constitute positive charge? Protons constitute positive charge. Who constitute negative charge? Electron constitute negative charge. That means positive charge and negative charge are inside the atom, and protons constitute the positive charge and the electron constitute the negative charge. While there is also a third component inside the atom called neutrons, and neutrons are neutral charged particles. But the important thing regarding the atom is that, as we know that matter is made up of tiny particles called atoms, and atoms are invisible and indivisible. We can't see atoms through naked eye. And atoms are indivisible also, because it is very, very tiny particles. So here, in the case of atom, the important thing regarding atom is that atom is electrically neutral. Why? Because there is positive charge and there is negative charge. If that positive charge and negative charge are of equal magnitude, then both the charges cancels each other, and the resultant is that atom is electrically neutral. Atom is electrically neutral. So matter is made up of tiny particles called atoms. Atoms are indivisible and invisible. And according to the concept of atom, there will be 3 atom models are we have to study, such that Thomson atom model, Rutherford atom model, and Bohr atom model. Right now, we are always following Bohr atom model, such that Thomson atom model and Rutherford atom model have a lot of limitations. But Bohr atom model also have some limitation, but we right now follow Bohr atom model. And the atom consists of, inside the atom there will be positively charged particle and a negatively charged particle. What are the positively charged particle inside the atom? Protons are the positively charged particle inside the atom. Electrons are the negatively charged particle inside the atom. And there is also a third component inside the atom called neutron, and neutrons are electrically neutral. Atoms are also electrically neutral. Why? Because protons and electrons are inside the atom, and proton is of positive charge and a neutron is of chargeless particle, and finally electron is of negatively charged. So therefore positive charge and negative charge inside the atom, and this positive charge and negative charge are equal of magnitude, then they cancel each other, and right now therefore we can say that atoms are electrically neutral. And one more thing is that the electrons, that means the negatively charged particles, that negatively charged particles, electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit. Also, protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons are combinedly called nucleons. So protons and neutrons are combinedly called nucleons. So protons and neutrons are situating inside the nucleus, and they are combinedly called nucleons. What is the charge of the nucleus? Nucleus is of positive charge, because protons and neutrons are situating inside the nucleus, and protons are of positive charge and neutrons are electrically neutral. Therefore the whole effect is of positive charge. But outside the nucleus there will be electron, and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Therefore these protons and neutrons, the charge combines and cancels each other, and therefore atoms are electrically neutral. So moving to the first atom model called Thomson model of atom. What are the impact? What are the points regarding Thomson's atom model? The first point regarding Thomson atom model is that according to the concept of Thomson, an atom is a uniform sphere. So here in the Thomson atom model, it is clear that Thomson states that atom is a uniform sphere of positive charge. Where does this positive charge comes? This positive charge comes from protons as well as negative charge. Where does this negative charge comes from? It comes from electrons, which are embedded in it, which are inside in it. So atoms consist of protons and electrons, and protons are positively charged particle and electrons are negatively charged particle, which are inside the atom. This model is called watermelon model, or otherwise we can say that plum pudding model. So watermelon model or plum pudding model. J.J. Thomson atom model is also called a watermelon model or plum pudding model. So according to the concept of J.J. Thomson, atom is a uniform sphere. It consists of positive charge and it consists of negative charge, which are embedded in it. And this model of atom is also called a watermelon model or otherwise called a plum pudding model. What is the second statement regarding J.J. Thomson model? Atom is electrically neutral. Atom is electrically neutral. So according to the concept of J.J. Thomson itself, he states that atom is electrically neutral. So because the negative and positive charge are equal in magnitude, as we earlier said that atoms are electrically neutral. Why? Because the positive charge, that is protons, and the negative charge, that is the electrons, are of equal magnitude, then they cancels each other, and inside the atom there will be protons and neutrons. That simply J.J. Thomson says that inside the atoms there will be positive charge and a negative charge. If that positive charge and negative charge is of equal magnitude, then they cancels each other. Then we can say that atoms are electrically neutral. So these are the statements regarding J.J. Thomson atom model. But later, after this atom model, Rutherford developed a new atom model called Rutherford atom model by completing an experiment called Rutherford scattering experiment, or otherwise called alpha particle scattering experiment, or otherwise called gold foil experiment, like that. So we want to discuss about that experiment. So how Rutherford atom model comes? If J.J. Thomson atom model is correct, then there will be no Rutherford atom model or Bohr atom model. If there will be some limitation regarding J.J. Thomson atom model, then only we can consider Rutherford atom model and Bohr atom model. So if it is totally correct, then there will be no chance of new atom model. So if a new atom model arises, that means there will be some limitation regarding Thomson atom model. What is that limitation? The limitation is that the model failed to explain how protons or electrons could be arranged in an atom so close to each other. So J.J. Thomson simply failed to explain how the electrons and protons are arranged inside the atom so close. So he fails to explain that. So therefore, there is a demerit arise. Due to that demerit, Rutherford crystal clearly explained that the atoms are consist of electrons and protons and about the arrangement. But after Rutherford atom model, there is also another atom model that is called Bohr atom model. So if the Rutherford atom model is totally correct, then there will be no Bohr atom model. If there will be Bohr atom model, that means that there is a disadvantage of Rutherford atom model. So here there is a limitation of there is a limitation in Thomson atom model. That's why Rutherford atom model comes. What is the limitation of Thomson atom model? J.J. Thomson failed to explain how electrons and protons are arranged inside the atom so close. So he failed to explain the arrangement of electrons and protons inside the atom. So in the next atom model, that is called Rutherford atom model, Rutherford clearly explains what is the arrangement of electrons, protons and neutrons inside the atom. So this is the limitation of Bohr atom model. Sorry, this is the limitation of J.J. Thomson atom model. So what about Thomson atom model? Thomson atom model says that atom is a sphere. It's a uniform sphere consists of positively charged particle and a negatively charged particle which are embedded in it. And this atom model is also called a watermelon model, or otherwise called a plum pudding model. And he also states that atom is electrically neutral because the protons and neutrons, protons or electrons are of equal magnitude. That means protons is of positively charged particle and electrons is of negatively charged particle. They are of equal magnitude, therefore atoms are electrically neutral. So he clearly explains the electrical concept regarding that atom. But he failed to explain the arrangement of protons and electrons inside the atom, and that is the limitation of J.J. Thomson atom model. So now we want to discuss about what is meant by Rutherford atom model, alpha particle scattering experiment, which give a conclusion of Rutherford atom model, and what are the drawback of Rutherford atom model. That's why Bohr atom model comes. There is some limitation or drawback regarding Rutherford atom model. So we want to discuss about Rutherford atom model. Moving to the next topic called Rutherford atom model. In the previous atom model, that means in the J.J. Thomson atom model, J.J. Thomson clearly states that there is positively charged particles and negatively charged particles inside the atom, and the positively charged particle and the negatively charged particle are of equal magnitude and they cancel each other, and the atoms are electrically neutral. There is no presence of neutrons in the case of J.J. Thomson atom model. It doesn't say about neutrons, that is the neutral charge. So there is another atom model comes because of the defect of J.J. Thomson atom model. What is the defect of J.J. Thomson atom model? The defect of J.J. Thomson atom model is that J.J. Thomson can't explain the arrangement of protons and electrons inside the atom. So here comes another atom model called Rutherford atom model. Rutherford atom. Rutherford atom model. Here comes another atom model called Rutherford atom model. So look here,